You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to What's the TBAB, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the BQN. I'm your host, Christos. What's the TBAB is a podcast where I interview members of the LGBTQIA community and our allies. We get to know our guest Trekdom and then discuss current Trek news and speculation. And man, do we have some Trek news to talk about today. Remember, you can watch What's the TBAB on our YouTube channel of the same name, or listen wherever you get your BQN podcasts. Well, listeners, today is a very special episode. We are not going to do the traditional format where I bring in an all-new guest and we talk about their Trekdom, only because if you're anywhere in the Star Trek zeitgeist, you heard a lot of things and saw a lot of things drop from San Diego Comic-Con. So I thought we needed to do a recap episode. And what better way to do a recap episode was to bring back a former guest to talk about this together. So I would like to welcome back Jason Anderson.
Hey there.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
No, first returning guest. That must say a little bit about your first time on.
That it went well, or that I wasn't horrible, I guess.
All of the above.
Yeah.
And I trust you to do a really good job on what we're going to do today too.
You know, I will do my absolute best, as always. No, it's great to be back as a reoccurring guest, you know, like
yeah, no, I like that idea, reoccurring. Listeners, remember Jason was on episode 8. In case you didn't listen to that, you can go back and listen to episode 8 of What's the TBAB to hear Jason's complete Trekdom answers. And in honor of your returning visit and the content that we have to cover today, we got a whole lot of Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks related pics of you today.
Yes. Yeah, so much news and so much new Star Trek to talk about. I'm really excited about it. And I'm wearing, I don't know if you remember, you bought this Star Trek Picard shirt for me when
at
you
Comic-Con.
Yeah, at Comic-Con, like before Picard, I feel like before Picard aired, right?
I think it was 2019. Yeah,
yes,
because
so in honor of that
Comic-Con 2019, I think I brought it out to STLV like a week or two later.
Yeah,
I've got my little Wonder Man.
I saw your not so related to Star Trek, but that's okay.
It's another fandom of mine. I'm maybe joining some friends for drinks a little later or something.
Yeah, it's like
fun on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm I pre-pandemic, so like that feels like forever ago before Picard started.
Well, I'll tell you, someone was talking about, so back to Picard, a little side note. Someone was talking about like Legacy, and when we get Legacy, and Kestra came up, and I'm like, well, geez, that was filmed probably in 2019. So it's been 4 years since they filmed. That girl's got to be pushing 18, 19 years old now. So she definitely would be like a cadet. Like I think they mentioned she was at Starfleet Academy in
Did they?
Picard season 3. So yeah, time flies, doesn't it?
I heard, I saw something on somewhere about like, where is the daughter? Like but I didn't even realize they mentioned her. That's good if they did. But...
Yeah. I think, there's a lot of things you could have done more with Picard season 3, but I think there were so many characters in it already. Like
so many.
Yeah.
I was talking about, like obviously Evan Gora is a super favorite of mine. And it would have been great, if they'd somehow worked him back in, because, he did show up at the end of season 2. So he's alive, but I just thought, they did the best they could with as many people as they had to revisit.
Well, and you gotta you got to pay those people too.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Well, if Legacy does happen, he's a perfect candidate to be in Legacy. So
Perfect.
maybe
Yeah.
we'll see more of Eleanor. So
Yeah.
let's go on and we'll talk about our, I said we got several things to talk about. Viewers, listeners, I think we have about like 7 things here on the list to talk about. So we'll kick it off with the fact that, hey, it was San Diego Comic-Con this weekend. In fact, it's still going on today as we record. Yeah, I have some passes. I may actually finish my day there.
That's so great. I'm jealous.
Yeah. The Hero Within has a little Star Trek pop-up. I kind of wanted to go swing by.
We had a Comic-Con. They call it, well, they're not allowed to call it Comic-Con, obviously, because it's in Denver, not San Diego. But we had one. I actually happened to have this. This wasn't even planned, but we went and my best friend and I saw, keeping with the Star Trek theme, we met Krug from... it's the Search for Spock, I think, because it was Christopher Lloyd. So he's the only one we actually met in Denver a couple of weeks. It was the first weekend in July, so like 3 weekends ago. But so we had ours a couple of weekends ago, and that's really all we did. We went there, we met him, and then we walked around the floor and saw all the vendors. But
yeah, I love to most people. He's the guy from Back to the Future, but to Trekkies, he's Krug.
Exactly. That's what I'm sure I don't even know. I might have been the only one in line because he was in Star Trek, but I have to, collect them all like Pokemon.
Yeah, give him credit.
Yeah.
So the Marriott here in downtown San Diego had a huge billboard for Star Trek.
Beautiful.
Huge. And in fact, it doesn't even mention Paramount Plus. But we had Jean-Luc Picard, which I guess we're still riding high on Picard. Lower Decks, Mariner. We've got Pike, Strange New Worlds. We have Burnham for Discovery. And we have Michelle Yeoh for the Section 31 movie. Yeah.
Maybe, obviously, I think it's probably dependent on how long the writers and actors strike go, like what suffers. But let's hope we get to that Section 31 show.
Yeah, or movie.
Movie.
But that's actually set to go in production by the end of the year. So it's definitely...
Who knows?
I know. I think the strike's going to last a little while too, to be honest with you. But I think it does show it's a priority for Paramount to get this filmed. It's not like, oh, we'll get to it, in 2 years. It's something.
Yeah. That's a good sign, right? Like having her up there. Plus, she's won she did a little thing like winning an Oscar, which I think didn't hurt. Yeah.
Right. It definitely made her hot. So, in your mind, I have a quick question for you. Will this be the 14th Star Trek movie, or because it's a made-for-TV movie?
Yeah, will it
not count?
I don't know, because it's really an interesting thing, and I'm sure people, especially the people within the fandom, have thoughts on this because they would have been skipping. I guess not technically skipping too much if they went straight to making it like the 14th movie, because I guess Discovery, the only one that they they skipped Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and went to a Discovery movie. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's I'm gonna call it a movie because here's why. I anticipate that there will be some special screenings at the theaters, just like they've done with Picard and Strange New Worlds. You could go to the theater and watch the final 2 episodes of Picard. I think there's going to be some limited screening of the movie, so to coincide when it drops. So that'll make it. If it's aired in the theater, then I think it counts, right?
Yes. Yeah. No, that'll make it the 14th movie, right?
All right. Moving to our next topic, and I brought this one up first because it's been a while since we've seen Discovery.
Yeah.
I think the last episode was in March of 2022. So we've been without Discovery, 16 months now since we last saw an episode, and it's going to be another 9 probably. It's just they're saying 2024, early 2024. But wow, it's been a while, and Discovery's kind of fallen out of the conversation, other than the fact that fans were pissed that it was canceled. But if you think about it, we've had a season of Strange New Worlds, the amazing Picard season 3, and now we're already 7 episodes into Strange New World season 2. So there's been a lot of other things taking up the attention.
Plus, Lower Decks was in there too, right after.
And the finale of the final 10 of Prodigy as well. But I think my point being, like, even in those in the live action realm, there's just been, Picard especially and Strange New Worlds doing so well in the ratings that that's where in fact in some people's minds it's like, well, what Discovery, or maybe that's why it was easy for them to pull the plug on it. I don't know.
But I mean, Discovery will always have love in my heart, or I will always have love in my heart for Discovery because, like, it re-kicked off the modern age of Star Trek. So, like, how can you not hold a special place in your heart for it? But yeah, I think it's just an unfortunate sign of, I don't know, it seemed like Paramount maybe was pulling back a little bit, like focusing in on some of the ones that they felt more comfortable with, because I actually know just from talking to the some of the actors that they didn't know the 5th was, like, they basically found out they were being canceled when we found out they were being canceled. It wasn't like they left season 5 knowing it was over. So
we were on the Star Trek cruise, and we were literally the night before the news dropped, we were hanging out with Doug Jones at the bar, and I know he didn't know.
No, he didn't know.
And then he said there was a Zoom call the next morning, and that's where he found out. And that was, I felt bad for him to be kind of working when he had to deal with that.
I mean, I think they were, 5 years is not nothing. So, like, I think, they were okay with it, but it was, I just think it was kind of, abrupt, but,
I love that they're giving them the opportunity to amend the finale of this season and make it more of a series finale. So I'm happy about that. Here's my thing. We got to see a little 5-minute clip yesterday, and and of course it looks amazing. Of course, all the episode 1s of Discovery just have this bigger budget. Every season, episode 1 is always just big smoking episode because they throw a lot at it. But I'm kind of afraid season 5 is going to be amazing, and people are going to be like, "What? Now it's gone.
Now it's over."
Bring it back, continue it. And but meanwhile, the sets have been, sets are gone. And all that crap.
No, I don't.
But if anything, if that clip looked amazing, if the season does turn out to just be whatever, well, hopefully that just gives it a nice legacy send off. To go out as a good show. And
maybe because they didn't know it was the end, maybe they did, like, I feel like sometimes when it's the end, it, not that people don't try as hard, but like people are looking for new stuff, and, writers leave, people leave. So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully they just put their all into it. We'll see. But much love in my heart for Discovery.
Yeah, me too. And like I said, this is supposed to be like the adventure season, as they're calling it. It has a little bit of like Indiana Jones in space kind of vibe. Maybe it's going to be a little bit of TNG's The Chase kind of thing. That's what I get. That's what I'm getting out of this. So, not a whole lot to go on. Like I said, viewers, you if you saw it, we got a 5-minute clip. We got like a little bit of a 1-minute behind the scenes clip, which recycled a lot of what was in the 5-minute clip that we showed. So not really a full trailer. We just get this Burnham's on the chase kind of thing.
Yeah, it was an episode 1 trailer.
Yeah. Like literally, we saw 5 minutes from episode 1. That's kind of what I got out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Moving on to our next topic. It is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, the animated series, which I didn't think we were going to get until it was here at Comic-Con. It didn't really cross my mind that this was going on this year, but I guess Paramount wanted to remind us it is. And to celebrate, there's a bunch of shorts coming out, or promotional shorts featuring different characters from different shows. We've got we got Riker, Quark, Saru, and Neelix. So what do you think about all this?
I'm sure that's not all. I'm sure there'll be more too.
There's more. There is more. I think they
Yeah.
said there's going to be more announced on Star Trek Day.
Yeah.
So
Exciting.
it does help. That does help me think that at least they're still planning on something for Star Trek Day, because First Contact Day was kind of a big FU. So I'm glad to hear they're kind of thinking about Star Trek Day, which is in the first week of September.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, some little animated shorts. Of course, everybody looks like they're drawn here in the TAS style, and not a whole lot to go on. I don't know if these are going to be like little 5-minute things or 3-minute things, but they're fun. And they're bringing back. If they're bringing back all the actors to do their voice work, that makes it even more special.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the smaller topics of the week. The big one, I think the biggest thing that we're here to talk about was an episode that we've been anticipating for exactly 1 year. Because it was teased at last year's Comic-Con, was surprise dropped about 5 days early yesterday, and that is the Strange New Worlds episode, These Old Scientists.
Yeah. What? I'm just going to go on record. I'm pretty sure you also loved it, but like, what a fantastic episode. Like, and actually, you know, my best friend had messaged me because I told him that I was watching it so that we could record this podcast. And he said, this is a quote from my friend Matt. The crossover was one of the best episodes of Star Trek in modern history, which I was like, yeah, I mean, what a great episode. I thought it was, I've missed one of the episodes. I think you and I were talking before. I've missed episode 6. But I've seen all the rest. I thought it was as good, if not better, than the courtroom episode, which was episode 2 this season.
Ad Astra Spare, which I had
about,
just called my favorite. I literally just recorded an all good things about that episode last week. It was, maybe still is, my favorite Strange New Worlds episode, but I need to marinate on These Old Scientists a little bit longer before I make the decision. And then we have another one to talk about in a few minutes that I got to wait until I see that. But isn't it great that, isn't it just stop to think that every week your favorite episode is changing? It's
you could be. Well, I'll tell you, very rarely, and maybe I'm just getting older and sentimental, but like I teared up in the courtroom, the Ad Astra episode, and I teared up in this episode. And I think I saw online what your favorite part, but my favorite part was, you know, when Pike was talking about his dad, and you know, that's very sad, you know, and everything. And he says, you know, I'm going to go in the wilderness at a fishing cabin and with myself and a bottle of whiskey. And then was it Mariner or no? It
was Boimler.
Boimler's like, have you ever stopped to think that there's a ship full of people who want to spend time with you? I got like choked up.
Yeah,
like
I did. I'm getting it re-choked up. As
I know. I was like, what a fantastic. That's like life lesson crap right there, right? You know, like life lesson shit. Like I think it's easy to think about, you know,
your perspective.
It's hard to think about your effect on other people in that way, you know, and people want to spend time with this guy, you know. So anyway, well, they can't.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think you're saying exactly what I was thinking. This episode has a ton of heart to it.
Yeah.
I mean, and just when you're laughing 1 second, you're having a tender moment the next. And, you know, there's probably 3 moments that I can think of that I had emotional moments. This particular moment that you're talking about, definitely. The moment at the very end when the Orion scientist is given the opportunity to just be considered an Orion scientist. And he said, that's all I ever wanted.
Yeah.
It's like when you're trying, it's like when you're from this bad people, but you're not, and you're trying to be taken seriously or be seen. I felt that. And you mentioned my little Facebook post, but I think my favorite clip, because it does tie back to episode 2 so strongly, was when Boimler is talking with Mariner and number 1. And there's this whole tease through the whole episode that he's got a pinup of you, and
like she thinks he's just like a regular guy, like thinking she's hot.
And it's revealed that she is literally the poster girl for Starfleet, poster woman, and
She's like the
and that
inspiration. Yeah.
and he's like, yeah, it made me join, and yeah, ad astra per aspera. And then it goes to Rebecca Ramon, and she's like, they put that on the poster, and it was like, it was such a callback to episode 2 of the season. And like, not only did she just go from being like in the closet and hiding and afraid of almost going to prison to being, exonerated and given asylum, to
And
finding out that history looks at her as a role model.
Right. And
for
literally
Starfleet.
the tool that that encourages like the aspirational person for becoming a Starfleet officer, like that's so huge. I thought it was wonderful. And it meant a lot to her. You could tell, her character in that scene.
Well,
and it was great.
The moment for me, I can tell it's going to be one of the, because I actually watched the clip right before we started. I watched that scene again, and it reminded me, the feels that I get for it remind me of the Voyager episode Pathfinder, when Janeway's like, leave a docking bay open for us. And I just can't help but get welled up when I see that scene anytime. Like, it's like, these actresses and their delivery, and it's like, you can tell it's important, and you can tell it was so good. And like I said, this one little moment, it just makes the episode Ad Astra per Aspera that much more special for me. But there was a whole lot more going on in this episode.
I honestly, ever since it was announced a year ago that they were going to do this crossover, that it's hard for me when they do, like, I just was really interested and kind of maybe not looking forward to how they would handle the transition between live action and cartoon, like how would you get them? And I mean, I thought the end, the very ending of the episode was amazing, because they basically kind of alluded to the fact that it could just be alcohol induced, but I thought the portal was a great, I was like, how are they even going to do that? Bring them from either live action to cartoon or cartoon to live action. And I think they did it great. I thought it was really well done.
Well, the portal being the transition point, that made it great. But, and it's fine. It made it very believable. But I think what it does reveal is that there's no difference between the two worlds, so to speak. Well, it's just how we're taking it in. And everything that's happening in Lower Decks is canon. Because some people have said it's not.
Right. Well, what's really interesting is, I think even with Lower Decks, I've said Boimler specifically, and actually Tendi for me, I could see them in those two characters specifically, at least, in any other Star Trek. You know what I mean? Like if they were live action, like they are written as if they're just like officers. Like now Mariner obviously was on, Strange New Worlds, and I think it was a fantastic, like they're both great actors. But I think Mariner specifically is kind of like more of a jokester than would probably be allowed on a regular ship. But like, clearly they did it. And I've said that since the beginning of Lower Decks. Like if you took Boimler or Tendi, they're so conscientious, and they want to be such good officers, and they just want to like do the right thing all the time. And they're so, I think they would fit in any crew. Right. But I thought it was great. Yeah, they did well.
Yeah. I love the episode. I love that it's like, believe it or not, as crazy as it was, and it's funny at times, and like we said, very tender at other times, it actually did move some of the stories along a little bit. We did,
especially
like
Christine
Boimler
and Spock.
Christine and Spock, there was a lot of movement on that story. You're right, because it was like, you could see it. You got to drop that human stuff, because you're important in history. And
and you could see in my mind, you could see in Christine's face that she was like, oh, am I influencing this person who's going to be such a huge, like obviously she doesn't know what the future holds, but it was kind of alluded to in this episode, and she's seeing like, oh, is my influence changing him? Like that's got to be hard to take, like So you're right. I think I hadn't really thought about the effects, but it did move that storyline along for sure.
Right. And you get a little bit of, I mean, everyone had some good touch points on it. I mean, La'an had her recent time travel experience. And it's funny, she even gives some unsolicited advice. It's not necessarily Starfleet Co, but it's advice. Yeah. Don't get attached.
I've been down that road. Right. I was just going to say the same thing like we were talking about earlier with Una, like her, she's still reeling from the fact that she was on trial and everything, so now she, it moved her forward towards, hopefully feeling more part of the crew or part of history.
And Ahura gets to learn to relax a little bit. And, it's like, I don't know how any of us would do from a trip from somebody from the future telling you like, you're going to be amazing and do great things. And, how you would take that, how you would not get a big head. I don't know. But, and I did like the callback, or not the callback, the final scene where, oh my God, I can't remember his name at the moment.
Ransom,
Jesus.
One of my favorite characters, so I always remember his name.
Oh, I love Ransom. I'm playing that Lower Decks game on my phone, so I see him all the time. But I love where he sees Boimler's poster of number 1. It's like, hottest first officer ever. And, of course, in real life, Rebecca Romijn, and they're married. Yeah,
Perry O'Connell and Rebecca Romijn. Yep.
So that was kind of cute. And if you are watching these images on the screen, I got off of Twitter. I did not make these.
These are amazing Star Trek fans who make amazing art.
Yes, and so credit to those people. Like I said, these are not originals.
Yeah.
Well, let's stick with sticking with Strange New Worlds. We got a teaser for episode 9, which is called Subspace Rhapsody, dropping August 3rd when we're at STLV. So we might be watching this together, Jason.
Yeah.
And what I had predicted weeks and weeks and weeks ago was that this was going to be a musical episode, and
you were right.
Been confirmed. But I'm very happy I was right, and I wasn't the only one that was guessing that. Some other people thought that too, but I was like, nope, it's going to be a musical, and they're really going after it. I'm glad that they didn't. I'm glad that they didn't wait for it to just come out that day and be like, oh, it's a musical. I like that we got a little bit of we got a good 12 days or so to really lead up to this. They're going full court press on this. There are 10 songs originally recorded, or they're going to be original songs in this episode. The soundtrack is already available for pre-save on Apple Music and Spotify and all the other major markets out there. And it's going to be available, I'm guessing, the day the episode drops. So that's pretty damn cool. I think you're going to watch that and you're going to want to hear it, right? You're going to want to put that in your
I may download it ahead of time, or pre-order it like you said. But I believe isn't Christina Chong, who plays La'an Noonien Singh, isn't she? And she's a singer, right?
I believe she's a singer, and so is what's the gal's name that plays Uhura?
I should know. Cecilia something, right? Cecilia
Gooding.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah. Rose Gooding. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's featured in the trailer. She's featured in the trailer singing.
Yeah.
And prominently in the poster as well. The minute and 9-second trailer just made me feel good. I liked what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
I love the artwork. I love the artwork that they've made for this. I love the soundtrack. So far, they got everything right. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm trying not to get my hopes up. But I do love my musicals.
Right. Far is. I mean, it reminds me, at least with the way that you see in the trailer that a wave goes over the ship. It reminded me very much of the Buffy musical episode. Once more with feeling.
Trek Culture just referenced that.
Yeah, fantastic musical episode of a show that's not supposed to be, a musical. So it can be done, and it can be done well. But it looks good. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I just grabbed this one little screenshot. I don't know why it made me so happy, but like
Yeah.
Pike is dancing with Pelia. Because let's also, guys, Pelia is just like my girl. I feel
She's
like
great.
that's that space hippie. Oh, sorry, you haven't seen episode 6 yet.
No,
Space
but I
hippie.
love it.
Sorry, there's a little spoiler there. She gets called a space hippie.
Oh, does she?
I'm not going to tell you by who and or in what context, but
That's hilarious.
I mean, I'm here for space hippie. I need that on a fucking shirt. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
And one more thing I wanted to say about last thing on Strange New Worlds. Okay, many people know I talked about this. I think on All Good Things or something like episode 1 debuted in the Nielsen top 10 streaming shows of season 2. Actually, at number 7. The only other 2 shows to even make the top 10 streaming from Paramount Plus have been Picard season 3 got there 3 different weeks. And so did 1923, which is the Harrison Ford show. So there you go, right?
Right.
But debuted at number 7, which means not only did Strange New Worlds do well last year, but they've picked up viewers during the year off. I think Picard season 3 brought a lot of attention to Paramount Plus, and there was a lot of co-advertising. By dropping episodes 6 and 7 in the same week, your watches are going to be more than doubled because people are going to watch both shows. I think that whether that was planned or whether it's just going to be a bonus, I would expect to see when we get to the Nielsen ratings for this particular week, which will probably be about 3 or 4 weeks away from now. We'll get that data. I would expect to see this show perform very, very well and maybe even get more of a buzz around it because of that. So I think, the marketing guy in me looks for things like that and like, oh, I see what you're doing. Yeah. Also, it changed the topic a little bit. We've been talking about writer strikes and actor strikes, but right now for these last 24 hours, Trekkies have been pretty happy.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, but I'm here for it. Our next to last topic is, I think, what, if anything, this particular episode of Strange New Worlds this week has gotten me more jazzed about is the return of Lower Decks.
100%.
Yes, we got a full trailer, which is out there for you to consume. And of course, the poster, and keeping with the tradition of every season of Lower Decks, it takes on the corresponding TOS movie poster. So we have the Star Trek 4 poster, The Voyage Home, and we have Lower Decks Season 4. And it's coming September 7th. I think that's news. I think they haven't, because we got a Strange New Worlds extra yesterday, they're not taking this week off. Episode 8 will drop this Thursday.
Oh, I was wondering of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, and then episode 9 will drop during STLV, and then episode 10 will be, August 2nd, 3rd, August 10th. So we're going to go from August 10th until September 7th with a little bit of a Trek drought.
Oh, so is that the season finale is August 10th?
Yes, because we'll get the musical episode is the next to last. And then episode 10, I think, is going to be some sort of Gorn conflicts because they've been kind of teasing up to that. But but Lower Decks, man, there's a lot in here. Let me just first and foremost, guilty pleasure, because these guys here.
Love it.
This clip I specifically took myself with my iPhone out of the trailer of the recreation of the Troy and Beverly workout scene.
Yeah, yoga or
Ransom.
whatever.
Ransom and Shax is amazing.
Love Ransom. Love the whole thing. And
even the little detail is the bottom of his shoes are purple and with the Starfleet emblem, the same Lower Decks emblem. But I love that. And Shax's got the same little slip-on shoes that Beverly was wearing. That's cute. It's this kind of stuff that really, I don't want to call it a deep cut because everyone loves to cosplay this scene, but
right, it's not a deep cut maybe, but it is a nod to people that love TNG and the people that love the prior Star Treks. Can't say enough good things about it. They do great.
Well, I just got a couple screenshots here. Run through here. So we're obviously going to Ferenginar, and we've got Lita and Grand Nagus Rom in a picture clip. So I hope that means that the actors are back voicing those roles.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty damn cool.
That would be cool.
There's more than a few shots on Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
Voyager at this point, I think, is supposed to be in the Fleet Museum.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we're on Voyager's bridge, and I think a few other clips highlight Voyager. And there's a little nod to the Alamarain episode.
Yeah. Deep Space Nine, yeah.
There's lots. I mean, there's Voyager, there's DS9, there's TNG references. I mean, not that there always aren't. And then the big story this season is supposed to be some forces attacking all the different species of the Federation, not the Federation, of the Alpha Quadrant, the Klingons, the Romulans, and we think it's coming for the Federation next. But I think that's going to be every season there's usually kind of a story that ties the episodes together. But yeah, I'm here for it. 10 episodes starting September 7th.
I'll tell you, I love, TNG's my Star Trek, obviously, but Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks, I mean, they're coming in hot for, like we were talking about earlier. It's just such good Star Trek.
Yeah, I felt like episodes 5 and 6 of Strange New Worlds kind of didn't hit it for me.
Really?
In some ways, but I'll say 4 and 5, not 5 and 6. So 4 and 5.
5. Which one was? So was that the one with Spock?
That was Charades. Yeah, that was the one with Spock losing his Vulcan side.
So because I was late, I needed to catch up. I saw, as you always do online before I watched it, I saw people's reaction, and I actually thought it was well done. Like I thought, I didn't have a problem with it at all. I was kind of, because I saw some people say they didn't like it, and so I was like expecting something maybe, as you do if you haven't seen it. And I don't know, I really liked it. I thought it was really interesting because it talked about like how he'd never acknowledged how hard it hit. The part I liked the most, I guess, would be the part where he acknowledged for Amanda how hard it would have been being on Vulcan and being discriminated against literally her whole life because she chose to love someone that wasn't like her, who wasn't human, and she wound up being the human amidst Vulcans and being treated badly her whole life for it. I thought that was great. Like, you don't get to see that kind of stuff all the time, where he has like an epiphany of how her life must have been a lot harder than it probably would have been if she was on Earth or something, So I liked it. But
that's a really good point. And I kind of went deep into this last week on the All Good Things episode. But my biggest problem was that the premise of the episode, not that scenes like you're describing weren't very, very powerful and strong, but the premise of the episode was too much like Spock Amok to me. Like, it's like, oh, Spock's having an out-of-body experience. Something has really drastically changed who Spock is.
Crazy.
And because of that, we saw that in episode 5 and in episode 15. And maybe if they had been more spread out in the grand scheme of things, but really at that point, the series was only 15 episodes long, and 2 episodes dealt with Spock having an accident of sorts that causes him to not be himself.
Well, yeah, fair. But I think they even continued that through with episode 7 this week of season 2, where he is not the Spock one that history showed him to be, right? Because he's like laughing and like smiling. And so I think it's actually like a conscious decision for them. It seems like Strange New Worlds writers are like, Spock's not as black and white as you think he is. He never was. And here's why, like that's always been my take on it. I don't know. But they seem to really be hitting home the fact that all Vulcans have emotions, they just hide them. And the fact that Spock is not Vulcan, he's half human and half Vulcan. And I thought that that's what they've kind of done really well on Strange New Worlds. But those are just my thoughts on the grand scheme. But
I think we're on the same page. We're just coming at it differently. I just feel like show me it without using the same
zany.
Writers come up with something a little bit more creative than just kind of giving me another idea, another recycled way of presenting the same idea. That was my beef. But I will also say,
real quick on that subject, though, I actually thought it was pretty smart, because I actually had the same thought, because, you know, you saw the preview where he's human, and I was like, how are they going to do this? I hope it's not a transporter accident, you know? So, because I was like, that's, you know, been done many times. But so I actually thought, like, these advanced aliens, like, putting him back together incorrectly was kind of smart. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too easy to please. But.
Yeah. Like I said, if you're going to do it, I just think there needed to be more distance between the episodes. Like if this was season 1 and season 4, I probably wouldn't have cared. But if for me, it's like my Rolodex of Strange New Worlds episode is very short.
Well,
obviously.
Because
we have 17. Season. We have 17 right now, as of yesterday. So to have 2 with a very similar plot catalyst driving the story, that was my only beef. The only other thing I really didn't care for was the stereotypical Vulcans. I mean, Vulcans are just freaking racist.
Mean.
Yeah, they're mean people. Like, it's like, stop it already. Like,
they really are. If you're not Vulcan, they look down on you. So that is unfortunate, because, you know, they're supposed to be the epitome of, like, knowledge and logic, and they're just kind of horrible. You know?
They come across as stuck up and arrogant.
To be fair, they did make the dad pretty amenable. I think without the mom, he would have been fine. He
would have been great. But that's like a trope in itself, right? You know what I mean? Like the evil mom and the dad, and then the beaten dad, the beaten down man. You know what I mean? Like, it was I just feel like we've seen that. But anyways, so our last thing, and I don't have any graphics for it at all. We did get a 2-minute plus, supposed to be a good feel-good reel for Star Trek, the home, or Paramount Plus, the home of Star Trek. And it's a great little, of course, they pull out some of the most inspirational moments in Star Trek. And hey, you even got a couple headshots of Beverly, so I wasn't mad, although I was really hoping her to seek out or a new life, or whatever she says there in episode 4 of Picard. New life, new civilization, something to that effect. I was wishing that would have been included in there. But otherwise, I just want to point out that there was not one picture from Prodigy, not one clip from Prodigy, no mention of Prodigy. So that was kind of sad.
I mean, they've basically gone the what's Prodigy, you know, route.
It's being like they're erasing it from the world. But on a good note, if you are a Prodigy fan, all 20 episodes from season 1 are available on digital, such as iTunes and Amazon Prime. And the second half of season 1 is coming out on Blu-ray in, I believe, September or October. So if you're a fan of Prodigy, you can go buy those right now on Apple and keep watching them. And I know they're gone from Paramount Plus. So that was a little bit of a feel good. And my final thought on all that would be, if anybody from Paramount might be listening to this little podcast, I mean, it might be a good time to rethink your stance on Prodigy in terms of content for your network. You've got basically 20 episodes about to be finished or already finished, and you have all of your main shows no longer in production until the strike is wound up. So if you want to kind of keep content on your channel in 2024, hopefully after this strike ends and then we get back into production, what a great way to buy some time while these shows film and rebuild content, new content. Otherwise, after this year is over, we have 10 episodes of Discovery and 1 more season of Lower Decks for 2024. That's only 20 weeks of content next year. If something doesn't get into production soon. So,
which it's not looking like anytime soon.
But. No, but then you, like I said, you'd have 20 weeks of Prodigy. You could have a full 40 weeks next year, which is kind of what we've been getting. So that would give you time to recover.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I talked about this a little bit on Infinite Diversity. I mean, when I did that podcast a couple of weeks ago, but like it has to be a contractual thing. And I know it's about like writing off things for taxes and, you know, all that stuff. But I hope I would love for them to listen to everything you've said and bring Prodigy back. I just feel like that may not ever happen, which is sad.
Well, I think it'll get a home somewhere. There's no way that those 20 episodes don't get aired. I mean, if anything, maybe it's a home video release that ends up happening, but
or like a Kickstarter.
I don't know. Yeah. All right.
Hopefully.
Well, let's see here. I think that pretty much covers SDCC. I almost said STLV.
Yeah. Well, we're about to head off to STLV.
That's right. In fact, I'll see you in about 10 days, I think.
A week from Wednesday is, I think.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, I'm getting out there on August 2nd, and I'm supposed to go to Kelly Clarkson that night. So
nice. What is it? Charisma, not charisma. It's something like that.
Chemistry. Which is the name of her new album, which is really, really, really good. And there's a whole bunch of Trekkies going. So I got to start figuring out who's all going there. Maybe we should be in some sort of, I don't want to say uniform. That's too freaking hot to be in a concert, but maybe some sort of matching t-shirts, because we're going to be in the front in the mosh pit area.
Oh, are you?
Maybe there'll be some fun way to be right there and be matching and be like, hey, Kelly, it's my birthday.
Yeah. Your birthday is going to be while we're there, right?
Well, it's the first, but
the first is right after.
It's on a Tuesday. I'm gonna, I hate when my birthday's in the middle of the week unless I'm often with friends.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you'll be with friends the next day. So.
And I'm totally cool with that. Like I said, the fact that I'm literally waking up on the next morning and driving to Vegas, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to hear what you thought of today's episode and hope you'll join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, to continue our discussion there. You can also tweet your thoughts to @What'sTheTBab or leave a comment on YouTube if you are watching this episode. Please hit like and the subscribe button here on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a star rating or written review. That helps others to find the show. So, Jason, where can people find you?
Well, on Instagram, I'm at Anderson5280. Same thing on Threads. I've started saying Threads because, we're there. But then I'm still on Twitter at JAA5280. And then Christos and I are the admins of the Federation on Facebook, which is GLBTQ and Friends and Allies Facebook group. Be more than happy to add new people and see you there. So I think that's pretty much everywhere. And then, of course, find all of us at Star Trek Las Vegas next week, or in a couple weeks in Vegas. Excited.
Yeah, if you see us, come say hi.
That'd be
great. Let's see. At this time, we're going to thank our associate producers, Davey Willett and Matt Harker. All you guys know Davey over there on Treksperts Quiz. And Matt is a really good guy who's going to be at STLV, so I think
it's his first time. I think it's his first ever.
It is, and he's actually going to be my bunkmate on the Star Trek cruise next year. So,
that's great.
Yeah. So, if you'd like to help us keep all of our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. We will add you to the Hive Mind Facebook group. With a monthly subscription of $5 or more, you can join our teams meetings on the Hive Mind Round Table discussions every second Saturday of the month. Visit patreon.com/BQN to get all the details and watch your messages. Jason, thanks again for joining us today. Always lovely to have you.
Yeah, I love it here. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful.
Oh, that's awesome. And we'll probably have to have you back.
Yeah.
And listeners, thank you for listening. We'll hope you'll join us next time for more tea on What's the T-Bev? Live long and prosper.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Mark, Christos, and Kelvin. Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey, a self-proclaimed gamer who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. If you're lost in the Delta Quadrant, check out The Captain's Couch, a Star Trek Voyager podcast hosted by Jeremiah sitting on Janeway's Ready Room couch. Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed but should definitely check out. Hosted by Mark, Matt, and Laz. Beam Aboard the Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG. Hosted by Amy, Joe, Rhea, and Kevin. History with the Zilagis, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissy and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissy and Thad. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey. Union Federation, covering all things Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Star Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Spill the Tea with What's the Tea, Bev, a Trek current events and fan interview show hosted by Christos. And for our Patreon members, we have The Hive Mind, BQN's monthly roundtable discussion with hosts and listeners. It's Green, a cornucopia of topics hosted by Mark, and Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek, hosted by Amy. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.